Hi everyone, welcome to UTV Guna. Happy to have on with me Liverpool fan Abhik. He's going to come on to defend them, and as we know, they've been running scared of us. Decided to get out of the match of us. That was meant to happen yesterday, saying we've got too many COVID cases, too many injuries, can't get enough players out. And everyone's been wondering, are they doing it to give themselves some more time to get some players back? But speaking to Abhik, he's going to tell us that that is not the case. So go ahead, Abhik.
Yeah, I mean, the reaction has been unreal. The fume. I've actually enjoyed it. So I'm reading some of the comments, not just from Arsenal fans, but fans up and down the country. It's like, oh, what are they doing? They can't do that. They're just doing it because it's a semi-final and they want to have an advantage and whatnot. And I get that. I do get it because being on. So right now, with the situation we're in, if there's a game postponed, there's always going to be one club which is happy about it and one club which is not happy about it. And usually the one who appeals to have the game postponed, if they get it postponed, are going to be the happier, right? So it happened to us, obviously, with we were going to play Leeds at Anfield on Boxing Day. I wasn't going to go up to the game, but I was looking forward to it because it was a Boxing Day fixture, until I found out 2 days before that it's been postponed, and a bit annoyed because even Leeds' full strength team at Anfield, we should be beating them. So to play a half strength team, we would have been more comfortable and more confident of getting a result. So obviously that got postponed. But yeah, looking at the I've just got some notes here. That's why I'm looking away from the screen. But yeah, looking at the Thursday postponement. So they obviously appealed for the postponement because there was up to what was rumored to be 14 to 15 positive cases. Now that's not just players, but players and staff. The rumors were that literally we didn't have a goalkeeper. So Alisson already had COVID. We knew this because he missed the Chelsea game. The Irish Iker Casillas, Kelleher, tested positive apparently. So did Adrian and Peter Luger. So that's our first 4 keepers out. And then the goalkeeping coaches also caught COVID. And there was a rumor that Trent had it as well. So basically, and then obviously like other players, but they're not going to disclose exactly who's got it. I think Liverpool have initially they were disclosing names. So like we knew before the Chelsea game that Alisson and Firmino and Matip were not going to be available because Liverpool actually disclosed that. But since because other clubs are not disclosing who's testing positive, Liverpool just basically saying, right, we'll do the same then. We won't disclose who's tested positive. So yeah, that was the rumor of who might have it and how bad it is. It seems like it is really bad because it's not just our game on Thursday night that's been postponed. Liverpool under 18s were meant to be playing Burnley under 18s today, and that got postponed as well. So the outbreak, it seems, is not just from like the first team players or fringe players, but also those youth players. Now, a lot of the stuff I've read, from Liverpool are scared of Arsenal to, they're bottled league. So they're going for the League Cup kind of thing. A lot of that stuff, I get it. It's all tongue in cheek as well. But yeah, I mean, there was comparisons to, right, so if Liverpool can get a cup tie postponed, why were Villa forced to play the kids, I think last year, I think it was. Now, the difference is and it's not Liverpool, it's the EFL as the footballing organization who basically administer the rules, who set the rules. And they had rules last year that they've changed this year. So there was one where, Villa played the kids, so why can't Liverpool play the kids? It doesn't work like that because it's not just a simple case of, oh, we'll just bring up like 6 players from the under 18 squad. The players in the EFL, like the Premier League as well, have to be part of a registered squad. So if like those 5 players that you plan to bring up from the under 18s are not in the initial registered squad list that's submitted at the start of the season, they can't play. So that kind of dispels that theory, oh, you can just bring up the kids. You can't. The other thing was I read was that Leyton Orient in 2020, it was September 2020, I've got here, they had an outbreak and they couldn't fulfill their fixture against Spurs. So what happened was they had to forfeit the game. So they got, so basically Spurs got a bye. So Spurs got progressed to the next round without even playing. Now, the reason for that was because it was a third round or second round game, and the following round was the following week. So between when it got postponed or when it got forfeited to the next week, there wasn't enough time in the next 7 days to reschedule it. That's why they had to just forfeit it completely. The difference between that and our case is we're at the semi-final stage, which means between us and Arsenal, we would have up until the 27th of February, essentially, to play those games, because the 27th of February is the date of the final, right? Now, the other thing I've read is quite funny is, oh, you know, they're just trying to get games postponed until Salah and Mane get back from AFCON, right? Let me just set that straight, first of all. Salah and Mane would definitely have not started at the Emirates, and most probably wouldn't have started at what is now the first leg at Anfield this coming week. Would they have been on the bench? Maybe, but not even guaranteed that they would have been on the bench. The reason why I say that is because Klopp, like, historically has never taken the League Cup seriously, or even the FA Cup, and I don't think he would have started either of them. So it's not a case of, you know, we wanted to get the game postponed until they come back. We can't even do that because AFCON is running until the 10th of Feb. These two games were always going to be played in January, and we're at the start of January now. So even if you know, they were back early, if both Senegal and Egypt got knocked out of the group stages, they still wouldn't be back in time to play these games, because the group stages are 3 games each, and the AFCON hasn't even started yet. AFCON starts on Monday, so that dispels that theory. So it's not a case of we wanted Salah and Mane to play. I don't even think, like you know, without disrespecting the competition too much, it is about playing fringe players and reserve players, and I think that's what historically what Wenger's done. Wenger's always played the kids when you guys had Wenger, and it's a similar stance that Klopp has. The other thing I was going to say is yeah, that rule. So basically, I'm going to read it out. Basically, it says there's a rule called Rule 5.1, which basically says that requests to postpone matches will be judged on a case-by-case basis. Rule 5.1 covers a club forfeiting a match should they not be able to complete it before the next round is scheduled. So that's what I'm trying to say. So because of where we are at this stage in the competition, we know that we could that the EFL know that the tie could be rescheduled next week, or even the following, or even the last week. They could go up to the last week of January, because the final is at the end of the final's not even at the start of February, it's at the end of February. So that's why they've said that it can be rescheduled, as opposed to us being, you know, completely kicked out of it. And the other thing is, yeah, whilst it could be at an advantage in the sense of, yeah, some of the players. So, for example, I don't think Alisson would have started anyway, but he will probably be back for Thursday, this coming Thursday, because it would have been more than 7 days. Because if you think he tested positive on, I don't know, Friday or Saturday last week, we're a week on now, he'll definitely be ready for Thursday, which is the first leg. There is an advantage there. I agree with that, but it's not a major. And I actually think what the EFL have done by giving you guys the return leg at Emirates is a huge significance. That is massive, because for Liverpool, if we lost 2-1, mate, even if we lost 3-1, right, or 3-0, we've lost 3-0 in the first leg to Barcelona at the Nou Camp and fucking beat their asses in the return leg in the Champions League semi-final. Yeah. Best believe in a return leg at Anfield with the crowd hyped up, it is not easy, and it's not a foregone conclusion that whoever the opposition are have beaten Liverpool, because it doesn't work that way. We've seen it time and time again. The fact that you guys have got the return leg is actually really good for you lot. Away goals don't count. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. I mean, even this Sunday, so the Premier League came out and said all 20 Premier League clubs have to fulfill their fixture. So you have to play the kids, the youth team, whoever, play the tea ladies, whoever it is, you have to play. Now, the reason why they've done that is because the EFL is a completely different organisation to the Premier League and the FA. So the FA have got their own rules and the EFL have got their own rules. So that's why there's a bit of like, oh, well, why can't you do it for that competition? It's because they're two different organisations. So that's one to just clarify a few points there, because yeah, I get it's a disadvantage to Arsenal in the sense of Arsenal hoping to play a really depleted Liverpool side, hopefully get a 3 or 4 nil result, and then, you know, 1 foot in the final, essentially going into the return leg. But yeah, I think it'll still be a close game. I still think I actually still think Arsenal are still favourites as well. And the reason why I say Arsenal are favourites is because you guys aren't in Europe, so like you're in that 4th spot. That's probably priority number 1. But because you're not in Europe, you've got that flexibility where you can play a stronger team, and you know, you haven't got like the Europa League or Champions League next month to worry about and things like that. So, and I think it's more of a focus for you guys because we are in Europe, obviously, still. So if you ask any Liverpool fan at the start of the season back in August, what's your thoughts on the League Cup? I would have just been like, hopefully we do all right, get as far as we can. But no, it's the Premier League and Champions League. They're the top 2 priorities every year. And it's been like that for the last 4 or 5 years. It's nice to win a domestic cup, but Liverpool haven't won the FA Cup since 2006. So what's that? 15, 16, 17 years. And they haven't won the League Cup since 2012. So that's 10 years now as well. So it's just never been a priority, especially on the Klopp. It's never been a priority. So yeah, it's not because, you know, we want our best players back so we can beat you and get to the final. Don't get me wrong, we're at a semi-final now. I want to win this. I want to see Liverpool at Wembley. I would love to try and get a ticket to go to Wembley to see him play and hopefully win and lift some silverware, because it's still silverware. But it's not the, you know, if you tell me, do you want to get to the semi-finals of the Champions League or do you want to get to semi-finals of the League Cup? I'm going to say I want to get to semi-finals of the Champions League. It's quite clear, and I think all fans would say the same. So yeah, I just thought I'd clear up a few points. But yeah, what's your thoughts? Obviously you're a bit disappointed that it got called off, but yeah, what's your thought?
You know, all the stuff about Liverpool riding scares more tongue in cheek, as you know. Like,
yeah.
So you would think as well that there's rules to be followed, so there would be someone checking the situation at Liverpool. They can't just put in a whole load of fake injuries and COVID results and stuff. So, you know, that's all cheap stuff. And for sure, there is a problem there. And as you're saying, you're not even able to field like a youth team, you're around 18.
Yeah.
So the situation talking about last season was a real weird one. You remember? So what it was is that you guys were going to the World Club Championships, and the day before, you had that
2 years ago,
Aston Villa. Yeah. So you know, that was a weird situation. I mean, in the end, you had no choice but to put out a youth team, you know. But as you said, this situation is a bit different now, and yeah, there's time to replay the games. As you were saying, the big thing now is that the second leg's at our place, because that was always the fear for us, you know, going to Anfield, as you said, that Barcelona result. We know how your crowd is there, and it's one of the most difficult places to go to in the world. So whatever lead we had here, we'd still be really nervous about that second leg. So now getting that first leg out of the way at your place, you know, worst case, even if we come back with a 1-goal defeat, you know, hopefully we can beat you out there, or worst case for us, get a draw. But, you know, if it is to be a loss and it's still tight, I'd really fancy our chances having you in the second leg back here, especially without a lot of your main players. As you said, Klopp never really does play a lot of your big players in this competition. So I look at that as a positive. Second leg at our place, you know, and yeah, it doesn't. One thing for us as well that's a bit tricky is that we've got Tottenham in between now the 2 legs. So the way it was before is that we have this Nottingham Forest game in between the 2 games. Now it's going to be Tottenham in between the 2 games. So, you know, how's that whole situation going to be? That's obviously, it's a North London derby. It's a big game, really important for the top 4. So that's going to be taking a lot of our focus and drain us out quite a lot. But like I say, I look at the positive of it. And yeah, you know, we'll see how we get on in that first leg, see what team you put out, because you still got them injuries, still got players away in the African Cup of Nations. Even if you do get some of them back, and like you say, normally you don't play your strongest team there anyway. So I'm still very confident that we can, you know, beat you at Anfield and beat you here. That's how confident I am. That, you know, we should be able to put a
That,
lot
that,
into it.
that's a good point you made as well. Is just because a player's come out of the isolation period and they're negative and they can play, you don't know what their fitness level is going to be like, because you don't know how COVID has affected that individual. So I'll give you an example, right? Mane suffered COVID last season, and I'm not like, without, you could tell the impact it had on his performances when he came back. He was not the same. Now, it was also because of factors like, obviously there was no fans in stadiums and things like that. It was just a weird season in general last year. But COVID has an impact on players differently, and how long it actually takes to get over that and get that athlete's performance back to where it should be varies. That's what I'm saying. So just because Liverpool can say that they've got, like, I don't know, say if Jota's got COVID and he's now back, it doesn't mean Jota's going to be on his A game. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's really interesting. The other thing I would say, and I found quite frustrating, was this whole, so yes, if a player has COVID, that's kind of almost, that's acceptable. But then what I've heard from people is that clubs are adding injuries to that list. But the thing is, what I don't get is, if you're injured, you're unavailable. If you're unavailable, you can't play, which means you can't actually, you can't be selected part of the 11. So Liverpool, we don't know how many COVID cases they've got. They've got 3 from before the outbreak, which was Alisson, Firmino, and Matip. They've had more now, but we don't know who it is. But they've also got a lengthy injury list, which is the likes of Thiago, Harvey Elliott, Divock Origi, Minamino. Now, Divock Origi and Minamino would have started. They would have definitely started against you guys. Thiago may have started as well. So that's 3 players who would have probably started. And then obviously you got the AFCON boys. That's three more. So if you add up the 3 confirmed cases we know about, plus the 3 at AFCON, plus the 3 injuries I've just mentioned, that's 9 players out. Then you add on who else is now tested positive, and you're looking at 14, 15, 16, which I think, without being biased, warrants a postponement, because then you're literally saying, of the registered squad list, there's no one. As in, you're struggling to put out 11 players, especially if there's no goalkeepers. And if that rumour's true that there's no goalkeepers, God knows what Sunday's like. Do you know what? I'm actually really intrigued. First of all, who's taking charge on Sunday? Because I reckon it could be the tea ladies or the groundsman. And secondly, the team we're going to put out, mate, I don't have a Scoobies who we can put out. The only good thing about, like I said, the FA Cup is they've said that there is no like limited number on there's no registered squad. So you can actually select anyone. So you could even, if you wanted to select the under 14s, play them. Like, it will be interesting to see who actually plays, because I don't have a clue. Honestly, it's very difficult to, because what makes it more difficult is because we don't know who's tested positive on this week, right? Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's really weird. And even who's taking charge, like Klopp. I think Klopp now is at the point where he could come out if he registers 2 negative tests, so he could take charge. But if it's not him, it won't be Pep Linders, because Pep Linders tested positive on Tuesday or Wednesday, so he's in the self-isolation. And I think there's someone called Peter Kravitz who could be, he's like one of the coaches, so it could be him. But yeah, it's really weird. Do you know what? It's just a weird situation, not knowing who your coach is going to be, or who's going to be in the dugout, and who's going to be starting. Really, really odd. But again, like, it's like you've got Forest away, which is a tougher tie. We've got Shrewsbury Town at home on Sunday. I mean, I'd love for whoever does, if I think it is definitely going to go ahead, whoever is playing for Liverpool, if they get the job done and we progress to the next round, I'll be buzzing, because it's like I said before, I'm not going to just stick my nose up and be snobbish about the domestic trophies. They don't take priority over the league and the Champions League, but they're still trophies. And at the end of the day, as football fans, all we want to see is our club win silverware. So that's the bottom line.
Yeah, for sure. For us, as you know, as you're saying, we're not in Europe, so we haven't got to worry about having too many fixtures in February and March, and winning a trophy, even if it is the least important, you'd say, of all the trophies, is still a big deal. We've not won that trophy for a long time as well. We've won a lot of FA Cups recently, but we've not won that trophy, so yeah, it would be nice to get to a final. And the final we're playing one of our main rivals, whether it's Chelsea or Tottenham. It looks like it's going to be Chelsea after the
Yeah.
first, but still there's a second leg to play. So we don't know. It could be one of our. Either way, it's going to be one of our big rivals. If it's Tottenham in the final, oh my god, wow, that would be one hell of an occasion. And yeah,
I'll be rooting for Arsenal if it's Tottenham in the final, because I just want Harry Kane to still not win a trophy in his career.
It's looking like Chelsea are the favourites, and like I said, even playing against them in the final would be a huge occasion, But we're playing recently in a few finals, so it's not the same thing. Like playing Tottenham in a final, it's been a long time. So that occasion would be huge. So I don't think they're going to make it through. But anyway, that's their problem. But yeah, so also looking at that situation of getting the top four and the transfer window. So for us, we do need to strengthen. And there's news coming out today that Ainsley Maitland-Niles is confirmed to be going to Roma. And with us having El Neni and Partey away of African Cup of Nations, that's leaving us really short in the midfield. So I heard from Arteta's conference today that he is saying that they are going to look strengthen this month. And it's really important that we do. For me, the priority, we need to get a centre midfielder in. One that I think we missed out on, and news come out, is that Coutinho is going to Aston Villa, your former boy. And he's a great player. The days he was playing for Liverpool. I don't know what happened to him when he went to Barcelona. But he's still, I'm sure, a world-class player, and he knows the Premier League well. So I think that's a really good signing for Aston Villa. What's your thoughts?
Grass ain't always green on the other side of it. That's my thoughts. That he went to Barcelona because, and what a lot of Liverpool fans will remember is he faked a back injury, and he did all the sorts, basically down tools, because for every South American, it's their dream to basically play for Barcelona or Real Madrid. That's the risk you take when you sign a South American, and a good one that they become interested in. So yeah, I mean, it didn't work out for him at Barcelona. He weirdly went to Bayern Munich on loan, scored against Barcelona, wins the Champions League with Bayern Munich as well, knocks his parent club out of the competition. You can't write this stuff. It was brilliant. But no, if you ask most Liverpool fans, during his time at Anfield, he was a special player. Gerrard calls him the magician. He's not wrong there. I think he's gone to Villa because of Gerrard. I think it's a Gerrard pull. You have to remember that Gerrard was around playing for Liverpool when Coutinho was there as well, in his last couple of years before he moved on to Los Angeles MLS. So yeah, I mean, it sounded like there were 6 clubs in for Coutinho. So I'm guessing, obviously, I'm guessing Newcastle would have been one of them. Everton, I heard, you guys were. So that's 4, and then 2 others, which I don't know about. But yeah, I think, like I said, he's probably gone to Villa because of Gerrard, not because of anything else. But it would have been interesting, because I think if you guys were in Europe, maybe he would have gone to Arsenal. If for example, if you were in a knockout stage of Champions League, I almost certainly think he would have chosen you guys over Villa. But because if you think about it, Newcastle, Villa, and Everton, none of you guys are in Europe. He wouldn't have gone to Everton. If he did, then I think he would have probably been watching his back of it. But yeah, Villa is probably because of Gerrard. It's a good move for him. It's a good move for Villa as well. I think it's a great signing for them. It's quite risk-free as well, because it's only a loan signing. So if it doesn't work out, he'll just go back to Barcelona and run down his contract there, however long he's got. But if it does work out, then Villa, I'm sure they can just stump up 20-30 million and buy him. I don't know how old he is. I think he is touching 30 though, so he hasn't got too, he's fast approaching his peak years if he's not at his peak right now. But yeah, he's a special player. He's the type of player that can take the game away from the opposition with just one moment of magic. I always remember that goal. I don't know if you remember at the Emirates, that free kick. On the opening day of the season a few years back when I think we won 4-3. It was a mad game. Mane made his debut in that game. Mane scored a really good goal. And Coutinho scored that free kick just before half time. Beautiful free kick, just flew in the top corner. Past check. That's what Coutinho brings. His moments like that. He's got a good shot on him. The only criticism of Coutinho, I'd say, is that we at Liverpool, there were times where he would drift in and out of games, so he wouldn't. He's great when it's his day, but it needs to be his day, if you know what I mean. He's not one of those players that will deliver all the time. So like a lot of the time, the criticism for him was he wouldn't score enough goals or make enough assists. But for Villa, yeah, really good signing. I'm sure Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins will be buzzing because he'll be able to provide plenty of chances for them too.
Yeah, I think he's probably chose them as well because they can probably offer him more guaranteed first team football, you know, in the first 11. For us, like we have got some very good young players there. I know we're saying we could be short if we get some injuries, but in terms of that midfield, like the way Emil Smith Rowe's playing, Odegaard, you know, that sort of position he would play. He can play centre midfield as well, I know, but there we tend to favour having Partey and Xhaka. So, you know, it wasn't guaranteed that he's going to get that much game time for us. So as you said, without us having European football, he probably looked at it and he thought, if we did go in for him, we don't know if we went in for him, if we did, he probably looked at it and thought, but with Aston Villa, he's guaranteed to get more first team football. He knows Gerrard really well. Gerrard probably told him, yep, you're going to be one of the main men for me. And, you know, that's what's probably swayed it for him to go there. But yeah, definitely a special player and definitely a good signing for them. You just mentioned there Newcastle. So Newcastle, at the moment, are linked with everyone. As we know, we've got that big money, that big money to spend. So what's your thoughts on their whole situation and what they've been doing?
I think Trippier is a good signing. So the players that they bring in this month are going to basically be the ones they rely upon to get them out of this hole that they're in, which is they're in a relegation fight. There's no two ways about it. If they go down, it'll be quite funny because they'll be the richest ever championship club of all time. But yeah, I mean, I think if they get someone like a Jesse Lingard and just a couple of other like flair players, that should be enough to keep them up, and then they'll build from there. I also think that, you know, since Eddie Howe's come in, they have improved a bit. So I think there's worse teams in the Premier League that will probably go down. So like Norwich, I think are down. They're going to finish bottom. I think Burnley are in a lot of trouble. And I think even someone like Leeds, who were, you know, first season they came in, they were surprising everyone, but now they just look a shadow of the side that they were last season. I don't know what's happened to Leeds, but they look like they're in trouble as well. So that's three teams that I would say have got a worse chance of staying up than Newcastle. I think Newcastle will be all right. They'll just stay up, and then it'll be interesting who they bring in this window, but even more interesting to see who they bring in the summer, because boy, the money is absolutely no object. They can just throw the money at any club and at any player, and it's scary. It is, because they could just say to Mbappe, even, look, we'll give you 700 grand a week. You're not going to get that anywhere else. If PSG are resigned to losing him, so what? He's going to go to Real Madrid, but then it depends if his head gets turned because of money. He's going to go Newcastle, isn't he? But obviously, if you've got a choice between Real Madrid and Newcastle, we're going to go Real Madrid because Real Madrid have got Champions League football, whereas Newcastle can't quite offer that yet. But it won't be too long if they get literally if 4 windows, right? So they've had this one. Let's see what the next 2 summer windows bring. If they get it right, recruitment, they'll be a force, and they'll be up there challenging for top 4 before you know it, and for the league in the next 3 to 5 years. But they've got to get recruitment right, because the flip side is when you get it wrong, like a Man United spent over £1 billion in the last 6-7 years, and it's got them nowhere. They've been nothing. They've not challenged for the title even since Fergie's left. That's really damning. But it's because they got their recruitment wrong. Same thing with Everton. Everton spent millions, but they're still mid-table. They just barely finish top half each season. So you have to get your recruitment right. And if they do, credit to them. It'd be good to see. It's always exciting to see like a new up and coming team, someone to break the mold a bit. Interesting to see who else they sign. So Trippier's one, and we'll see who's next.
But like as you said, with the amount of money they got, if they get their transfer business right, they'll definitely be up there competing. You know, as we saw with the Manchester City situation, we saw with Chelsea. You know, if you spend that big money wisely, you can be competing within a couple of years. You know? So with Man United, they spent a fortune, as you said, but it just seems they haven't got the right players in. It's not always about just going and getting big players, big names. It's about finding the right combinations, the players that suit your team style of play. And I've been really impressed with Arteta for that, with what he's done this summer. and our recruitment team, Edu, and with you guys, Liverpool as well. If you see what Klopp's done, you know, like you wouldn't say you guys have spent massive amounts of money, but he's been very wise with how he's built his team over the years, and it led you to win the title a couple of years ago, and now you have a very strong team. So yeah, it's really important that the recruitment's done the right way. It's not always all about how much money you've got. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see Newcastle as well. You know, they've got a great history, big club out there, big fan base. So, you know, if they get their recruitment right, they're going to be a big force in the Premier League really soon, which is going to make it even more competitive than it already is. But that's always good.
Yeah.
You know, it's good for us to watch as fans, competitive football. And that's why the Premier League's the best league in the world, bar none. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes, how this transfer window goes. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Welcome. And for our viewers, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.